Ladies and gentlemen, now we are at a state of the game. We've got over 300 characters. Kabam have been pumping out champions for the last 10 years, and there's all of the god tier characters we know and love. But today, I wanted to talk and share my view on the top 10 most forgotten characters, either ones that kind of released, maybe had a little bit of a run for a bit, and then just, the enthusiasm faded, something much better came out that just overshadowed them, or they were just so terrible, they just never got off the ground. They haven't got any sort of support, and they've been left in the shadows, and their name hasn't been mentioned potentially for a few years. So hopefully in this video, my goal is to give one or two characters that you're like, I just totally forgot that character was even in the game. That experience where you pull one of these characters or a crystal and you're like, oh yeah, they released that character like 9 years ago. They still haven't done anything with it, but it's there. It does exist in the game. So the first few that we have on this list today, you're going to be like, okay, I'm a little bit familiar with that, but I'm hoping we go to the slightly more obscure characters that never really got a run, because I think these first three especially, they've had some area of dominance and relevance at various points in the game, but it was very short-lived and snuffed out very quickly. So at number 10 on this list, we are going with, and this is, one of my favorite characters visually, but it's gotta be Dormammu. Like, Dormammu is still not available as a 7-star champion, just in terms of, the physical presence, the mass of this character. He's a really, really cool character, but he just never had kind of the damage output at his time to get the real recognition he needed. And this was back in a very early state of the game where, again, damage output was very, very low. And then it's just got progressively a lot better over the years. And I think, I haven't played Dormammu in a while, but I imagine he felt bad then. He hasn't really got a significant love, significant tune-up. He's not going to feel too great to play. But this character is absolutely packed with utility. He's got like double immunities, fantastic power control, always been a very strong power control option. So I'd love to see your Dormammu revamp. But again, he's just one of those characters you never see in Crystals anymore, aside from the very rare kind of 5 or 6 star potential appearance. But he's still sometimes a bit of an annoying defender, but he was very much snuffed out on defense by the Rise of Blade, back in what was it, 2018 or some very early times. Now, the next character, this is one of my favorites that I still feel like is a little bit underrated. I would love to see this character as a 7-star champion. I think he kind of comes from this era of like where they were trying to do a lot of ramp up characters. And Colob Obsidian, he was a little bit slower and a little bit less rewarding to play for the first few fights, but once you really get into it, this character is an absolute beast. However, I just don't think he's really got the right content or ever had the right format where he's really got the chance to shine. Because there's so much stuff now that's either like a little bit too big for him, like Abyss, or, the new style of Valiant Event Quest that's like, constantly change your character and who you're using. And I think just generally characters like Cosmic Ghost Rider, that is just like the armor break god of the Cosmic class, just came in, does what Colob Obsidian does in terms of damage output, just so much quicker and more effectively, and has all of this additional utility as well. But Colob Obsidian, I had a lot of fun playing this character when he came out. I know he kind of launched in this state where he's much more overpowered than he is now. But yeah, I do miss Colob Obsidian, actually. I'm a bit tempted to do like a 6-star ascended, fully boosted Colob Obsidian gameplay video at some point. Because yeah, I think that'd be very enjoyable. Now, the next character, I think is, we're going to get more and more niche, because Dormammu and Colob Obsidian, they may be somewhat familiar characters. But as we work our way down this list, we are looking for Night Thrasher. Now, Night Thrasher is a really interesting one, because I remember, I believe it was KT1 did some amazing showcases about a year after this character's release, kind of doing some stuff in Labyrinth of Legends and taking on some bosses and having some pretty good kill times. But Night Thrasher's, I believe, one of those characters that, just got overshadowed so heavily by the rest of the skill class. You know, when you had your Aegons come out, it was like, if you've got big content, just bring Aegon and you're going to absolutely demolish everything. And there's so many heavy hitters in the skill class now that are so much more dominant in a lot of content. So Night Thrasher, you know, he had his very short-lived saga, but this character is still unique in the fact that he fights with a skateboard. And for some people, that is a pretty fun time. Now, moving on to the next character, we have Thor, Jane Foster. Now, Jane Foster, you know, she was a very underwhelming character in a state of the game where, you know, it was kind of easy to shine because a lot of characters really didn't have too much that they could do. But then she got a revamp and a buff, which didn't really do a whole lot for this character. You know, she's still kind of in this weird place where I just don't think she's a relevant option that a lot of people play. I believe her stagger is a bit more accessible and easy to pull off. And, like, I always kind of enjoyed playing her in arena when I had to, you know, back in the days where we were grinding like 3 and 4 star, just due to the fact, you know, she has a lot of guaranteed critical hits, and it feels good to land a critical hit in this game. But Thor Jane Foster, yeah, it's just a character that even the buff was a little bit of a letdown, didn't really hold her up very much and allow her to have a comeback. Now, speaking of characters that also got buffed, but still didn't really have a second, you know, reign in the game, Carak. Now, Carak, I think, is most famous for Brian Grant cosplaying, and you know, if you've got Medusa and you're going into a big piece of content, you just bring Carak on the team, but you know that it would be like a bit of a wasted spot. Or if, let's say, like, you had a match with Medusa, it was fire, you got the boss to like 2%, and you didn't want to use a revive, you would bring in Carak to finish off that fight there. So yeah, it's been a while since I've revisited and played with Carak, but I think he definitely falls into that basket of characters where you're like, oh yeah, Carak is in this game. He's a character that people can play if they want to. So yeah, he is number 6 on this list. Now, at number 5, we are going to a character that had one very, very, very niche use on the release of a new Mystic Defender known as Mordo. And this character, I'm trying to find him on my roster, is Drax, dude. Drax is just like, you know, one of those characters I sometimes stumble across like every few months, and I'm like, dude, Drax is in the game. Because he just, you know, he's still one of the characters with like the least amount of abilities, man. He's got like very close to nothing. It's just like, oh, okay, he might get a fury on the special attacks, and you got a chance to bleed as well. But it was that 6 combo where you could like stun Mordo on release, and then like his first medium hit is a double attack, so you could clip Mordo and get him out of the evade. And the only thing that he had going for him at the time, Kebab just decided to hotfix some remove. So yeah, that was kind of the end of Drax, but I do remember points, man, where like Drax was one of the like MVPs for Mordo boss killing for people that didn't have another option when he was like added into the Alliance quest map. So Drax is yeah, very, very forgotten character, I would say, in the current state of the game. But now we also have another character that got a little bit of a buff and rework. However, whereabouts is he? He's lurking somewhere in this roster. We may have already scrolled past him in some capacity. Okay, we'll just go for the 4-star. It's the Vulture, dude. Vulture, he was kind of doomed from release because he released in the same month as Stark Enhanced Spider-Man, immediately overshadowed by a significant margin. Vulture has always had like some pretty cool kind of like power control mechanics. I believe from the special 2 where you kind of like get the siphon charge and burn power on the opponent, and that feels all right. But again, I think he's generally just lacking a lot of other things. You know, you look at some of the best tech characters now, and they've just got an absolute like laundry list of utility. So yeah, Vulture never really could keep up with that, even after his buff. But he's a cool character, man. Like, I've always really enjoyed his animations. His special 2 feels really good to fire off. And like, you know, with the massive wings in the fight, he does look really, really cool. So here's hoping one day Vulture, you know, gets a bit of a spicy buff. But then we've got the top 3 on this list, and these characters are pretty diabolical. So we got Beast, dude. Beast is like, oh my gosh, why was this character like ever added to the game, man? Oh man, Beast is just, yeah, he was the character you just did not want to see in a 6-star crystal. I remember just for years, like there were so many different videos and attempts to try and kind of make Beast work and use him for things, but he never took off. And then, you know, you had the release of like Apocalypse and all of these broken mutants and crazy synergies, and Beast is just, you know, very much left in the shadows there. So Beast is yeah, I think definitely one of the top 3 most characters that you're like, oh dude, I totally forgot this character was even added to the game. Now, a character I feel personally very sad that just never had like a proper reign, and I feel like there were so many attempts to make this character viable in some way, shape, or form, and maybe like this character from a defender perspective is not that forgotten. At least from me, because I've taken so many gliders from the special 2 to the face. But like, whenever I remember that this character is actually playable, I'm like, dude, I just haven't used Green Goblin in so long. And yeah, his release was just so underwhelming. I think it was like a fairly similar time to Stark and Art's Spider-Man Vulture, and also Dr. Octopus. He came out the same month as Doc Ock, as I remember. And I think at the release, actually, Doc Ock and Green Goblin were both quite characters that people weren't really that excited for. Doc Ock went on to be an absolute banger, though. Had some really, really cool stuff. Would be an amazing 7-star, like the power control and stuff you can do with Doc Ock is really, really impressive. But yeah, Green Goblin has just always landed in this really weird spot where he's just a super awkward, unfocused character. There's a lot of randomness, a lot of variance playing him. He can't really like control the fight in a way that you want to. So yeah, I'd love to see a proper Green Goblin revamp. That would be absolutely tremendous. But I think number 1 on this list is actually like quite a clear choice for me. When thinking about characters that just, you know, had absolutely like nothing going for them, which is Airwalker, dude. Airwalker was a character, or is a character, that requires like winning a couple of fights to really just become playable in a quest. Like before that, he sucks to play before you get the charges. And, you know, they released Airwalker, and then I don't believe it was like super far off. We already had a lot of good Cosmics at the time, but then, you know, Cosmic Ghost Rider Hercules comes, and like Airwalker is like forever just benched, absolutely forgotten about. But Airwalker like is quite fun to play if you can get his charges ramped up. But again, it kind of falls into the same thing as Colob Obsidian of like, it's this awkward era of ramp up characters that didn't really have the payoff, and then characters get released a little bit after that that don't require ramp up but are better than the peak of that character that's ramped up. So they just, you know, absolutely dominate those characters and push them into a state of irrelevance there. So yeah, for me, Airwalker is just, you know, just that character that barely got like a couple of seconds in the spotlight before just got completely overshadowed and put on the bench almost permanently there. I do want to give a couple of honorable mentions, like Super Skrull, I think, you know, definitely borderline. Icarus, I was tempted to add Icarus to this list. I think he's like also a character that very much fits into this kind of briefing of like, you know, just doesn't really get used. I think he's very, very close as well. And then, you know, additionally in the skill class, we have characters like Misty Knight as well, who've never really taken off that much. Craven. There are a lot of characters. Again, Taskmaster, definitely a very, very niche one, that had a couple of kind of dedicated players. But I think for most people, the rotation is like, you know, way too overly complicated to be interesting. Elektra actually is a really, really good honorable mention here, because Elektra's that character that was like your budget, kind of like if you didn't have Blade and you needed ability accuracy reduction, if you didn't have Blade or Black Widow, it was like, okay, you might be able to use Elektra for an Electro. So yeah, I think Elektra is actually so forgotten that she didn't even make the top 10 forgotten list, but she's definitely on the honorable mentions here. I think that is incredibly well deserved. And we'll have a bit of a scour in the science class here as well. I think a lot of the science characters, just due to many factors, have not flown too far under the radar. I feel like Rhino and MODOK are still very memed. I think you could also make an argument for Yellow Jacket, Ant-Man, and also Gladiator Hulk. All three like very forgotten, neglected characters. So yeah, there's a bit of a perspective for those as well. In the mutant class, who else do we have as well? Maybe Jubilee, a little bit forgotten, a little bit underrated. Nightcrawler got buffed recently. Both Magnetos are used still quite frequently for pre-fights as well. X-23 is going to be getting that buff, so that should be pretty nice. I would say Captain Britain, but she just got a buff. I don't know why they buffed that. Like so many much better characters to buff, at least in my opinion there. And then also in the tech class, who do we have? Mysterio. Mysterio is actually like, potentially one. He did get the 7-star. I know some people have taken him up a little bit as a 7-star, just because he slows down matches in certain Battlegrounds metas. And Iron Patriot, I mean, an iconic immortal meme. War Machine's kind of up there as well, you know. I think there's a case for War Machine. Psycho Man, potentially to a certain extent. I would love to see. I don't think Nebula has been released as a 7-star, but I would love to see that at some point as well. I think that'd be really good. And then finally, just in the Mystic class, to a certain extent, I think Mephisto as well. I think early Battlegrounds, you did see a few Mephistos on defense, but really you don't see much of the character anymore. And then I feel like Mystic always has like a level of presence in most things, just because Mystic Dispersion is very OP, you know. It makes a lot of these characters very good. But I think you could make a case for Loki. You could also make a case for Iron Fist as well. I would say Man-Thing, but I also feel like, you know, Man-Thing, I just think of Brian Grant. So yeah, he's still living Red 3 up there. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for my list and my thoughts on some of the most forgotten characters in the game. But the true most forgotten one, who is it? They might be so forgotten that we've forgotten them in this video. Let me know in the comment section below who you think it is. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you enjoyed this video of me yapping about old forgotten characters. And if you did, please do smash that like button. That'd be greatly appreciated. Thank you all very much for watching. Take care. And I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic day.